All right, folks. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, we put in a little work this weekend. Put in a little work this weekend. Got some things going on. New things, things, things. There we go. All right. So we're gonna start with some announcements. Get into that, and then we'll talk a little bit about what today's stream is working with. All right. So I know everybody's not I know everybody has not hopped onto the stream yet, but um, we gotta keep it moving, man. Gotta keep it moving. So first announcement that I have for you guys is that last night's session has been uploaded to YouTube. Um, the true secret behind stock prices. Uploaded that. I'm gonna be uploading more episodes this this evening. I'm gonna be doing a lot of uploads today. A lot of uploads coming today to YouTube. Um, I want to say this, right? When it's all said and done, the it's all said and done, the YouTube, when I upload to YouTube from now on, I'm gonna be removing from the Twitch replays. All right. So whatever I upload to YouTube, I'll be removing from the Twitch replays. That way I don't get confused. I don't want to get confused as to what I've uploaded and what I have not uploaded. All right. But if we were to slide on over to the YouTube right now, all right, let's see if it was to slide over there right now. We should find that the we should find that the let's go to the channel. Let's go to videos. Take a quick glance here. I'm still waiting for it to transition over, but it has been uploaded though. It is on its way. So we're still waiting for the transition right now. But you can come right over here to latest videos. You see it pop right on over here. All right. So that's announcement number one is that I have last night's session on its way to YouTube. It's gonna make our 100th video when it's done uploading. That's pretty dope. It's gonna make our 100th video. Um, 100 video upload to YouTube. And that's done. So then also, as I mentioned, whenever I upload a video to YouTube from now on, it's going to be automatically deleted from the Twitch. All right. If it gets uploaded to YouTube, it will be deleted from Twitch. All right. So this way, there's no confusion. I'll always post it in the Telegram once it's done being uploaded. All right, so you can always look forward to that. But I got some real exciting news, man. I don't know. Trying to see if I should drop this one on y'all today or not. Cause it looks like everybody busy. So I don't know. Y'all might need to wait for this news, huh? Think we might need to make them wait for this one. Oh, I don't know if you guys noticed. We got a little ticker tape running across the screen there as well now. Um, so that's something else that you'll notice. Right, that's something else that you'll notice is that when it's all said and done, we got a few new updates. You saw the new loading screen when you come in, whenever we're getting started soon. All right, I guess I'll go with delivering some of the other news. So I've started to upload the first bit of actual curriculum. That's right. I've started to upload the first of our curriculum, which is going to be pretty much. Um, I'm gonna be curating. Um, I'm gonna be curating a list of content that I'll be streaming during certain off hours. All right. So during certain times, whenever whenever I am, like, let's say I'm working on something in the background, whatever it may be, or we're taking a break midday. Sometimes instead of actually closing the stream out, right, I'll actually be launching a playlist video instead. And it's gonna be it's gonna be a huge playlist. I'm gonna add to that playlist on a regular basis, and it's gonna be running for my goal. My original goal for the playlist is that it runs at least 3 hours a day. That's my original goal for the playlist, is that it runs at least 3 hours per day. Okay. Um, what is going to end up happening here? Like, let's say I was like, okay, cool, guys, I'm gonna catch up with y'all later. You know, I'm about to be out. I have three options that I can leave you guys with. One, I can leave you guys with Bloomberg. Two, I can leave you guys with the Schwab Network. And then three, I can leave you guys with some study material. Okay? Then you guys will be able to decide what you want to be left with. So let's say I was out right now. When I get done, I just say, all right, guys, I'll catch up with y'all later. And then let's say I swap out to the core curriculum. It'll go like this.
How the economic machine works in 30 minutes. The economy works like a simple machine, but many people don't understand it, or they don't agree on how it works, and this has led to a lot of needless economic suffering. I feel a deep sense of responsibility to share my simple but practical economic template. Though it's unconventional, it has helped me to anticipate and to sidestep the global financial crisis, and it has worked well for me for years. Let's begin. Though the economy might seem complex, it works in a simple, mechanical way. It's made up of a few simple parts and a lot of simple transactions that are repeated over and over again a zillion times. These transactions are above all else driven by human nature, and they create three main forces that drive the economy. Number one, productivity growth. Number two, the short-term debt cycle. And number three,
All right. So that was just an example. You see that went straight into it. No, hold on, guys. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me find it real quick. None of that. Go straight into it. So, um, whenever I get done with certain sessions, I'm gonna say, all right, guys, look, I'm out of here, but I'm gonna leave y'all with a little study, a little study work to do. Boom. I can just slide right into the playlist. It'll run whatever the last thing is that I added. Okay, it'll run whatever the last thing is that I added. I remember telling you guys not too long ago that one of my goals is going to be to the have the stream running, for an extended period of time over the long run. All right, that was going to be one of my goals, and so we're finally there. We may only be putting in, like a few extra hours a week. So like you'll be able to check the stream from time to time, and you'll just find that we're playing some educational content. Do you understand what I'm saying? You just find, hey, okay, let me see if they got some content running. You may find that we're just running some educational content for you. Okay. Or you might find that, we got the latest interviews um, popping off, that kind of stuff. All right. I'll be going in and cleaning out this stuff, maybe once a month or something like that to make sure we don't have any like old material or anything like that in there. But yes, so I'll even have a playlist that's there for like, you know, things outside of just, you know, like for example, this particular one right here is for economics, right? The one that I was just showing you guys. I'll have another one for technical analysis, right? And that could run all day, right? I'll have so many things packed into those lists that they could literally run all day. So that's gonna be everything from my favorite Oliver Velez videos, all that, like the Oliver Velez videos that I like to watch. All right, so it's gonna be curated for you guys. All right, the ones that matter the most. Okay, um, I'm gonna make sure the only long content that's there is the ones that actually matter. So like sometimes I might just have a lecture for you guys that I want to put up, but it'll be a lecture that's worth watching. Okay, that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be some really amazing. It's gonna be some really amazing stuff, guys. Really amazing stuff. Like I said, and so we can transition. We can transition right into whatever we need to transition into. All right out the gate. All right, an immediate transition. Okay, so it's gonna be pretty dope, man. It's gonna be pretty dope. Um, I'm definitely like loving all the new changes there. But so other than that, those are all the new announcements there, right? Those are all your new announcements there. So like I said, uploading a bunch of new YouTube videos today. Already have one on the way. Not sure how long it's going to take to get over here, but it was a pretty big file. So not sure how long it's going to take to hit the YouTube channel. But I got that on the way. Um, and then also once I upload a video to the YouTube from now on, it's going to be removed from the Twitch, but I'll post it into the Telegram so you guys know it's available to just watch on repeat. Okay. And then like I said, I have some auto switches going on now where I can just kind of automatically switch to I can just kind of automatically switch to different platforms seamlessly, seamlessly switching to other platforms. It's absolutely crazy, how that's going to be working there when it's all said and done. Now, okay. Um, let's get into what we really came here for, though. Let's get into what we really came in here for. Um, let's take a look at the market and see what we see here. I'm starting with the commitments of traders. Starting with the commitments of traders. Um, We're gonna work our way from there. All right. Who we got joining us today, man? Drop something in the chat so I know you're with us. Who we got joining us today? Who do I need to shout out? Okay. So we're gonna go to bar chart. We're gonna go to futures, and we're gonna pull up the legacy report. All right. We're going to the indices, and we're gonna check out the non-commercial speculators. All right. So the commitments of traders, what this shows you is how trend followers and major institutions are positioned in the futures market. So this you see the SP 500, right? Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Russell. You see the VIX. So we want to see how they're positioned here. I focus mainly on the minis because that's going to be the some of the best look for us here. Now we're coming off of a 52-week high for the S&P 500, right? That's the most bullish we've been on the SP 500 in the past year. And that was fueled by some lower valuations, right? Um, so S&P 500 positions coming off of their 52-week high, right? Uh, I mean, they didn't go crazy with the positioning here, right? I mean, really, it just looks like we got rid of some longs. When it's all said and done, your 52-week low was a negative 225,000. So we know positioning in the SP 500 has been much worse than it is right now. In the past year. All right. Now, this was I would say this was a considerable drop off in the NASDAQ positioning. And they're well off of their 52-week lows here. And I mean, just in March, we were ready to take off. You can see the positioning here went from 2,300, 2,400 to 24,000. Right? And then, well, the president, Donald Trump, decides to the, you know, do the worst that he could possibly do for the market, and that's drive up costs. Right? So ever since then, we've been a little cautious. Right? Ever since then, we've been a little cautious about the markets here. Now, so we got some cautious positioning. We're also less short the VIX. So I think that last week, large speculators prepared themselves for some potential volatility. All right. So position for potential volatility. And I'm writing this stuff down, so don't mind me repeating it to myself and taking brief pauses here. Um, gotta take things one step at a time. All right. Now, the next thing I want to do here, let's take a look at the earnings calendar for next week. All right. Let's check out the earnings calendar here. We have some stock twits. on the earnings calendar here. So for the 13th, all right, 13th, we're going to be starting with Goldman Sachs here. Where's the rest of my list here? Hold on one second. Gotta forgive me. I was doing a lot of updates, and I probably should have restarted this thing before I actually started up the stream. So give me 1 second. Let me just do this real quick. I'm actually gonna drop you guys on Bloomberg real quick.
And I think continuum is the right word, is the way investors, particularly retirement savers, are looking at, retirement savers, I would say, who don't have allocations to private markets, and that's more specifically in defined contribution 401k type plans. Defined benefit plans have allocated to private markets for years for that reason, because it is the appropriate solve for the long-term time horizon.
You agree with the continuum, or?
Absolutely. A robust public market needs a robust private market, and a robust private market needs a robust public market. I think the fact that companies are staying private longer is a good thing. It's a good thing because when they do emerge as public companies, they've got a refined strategy, they're much more disciplined, they have a practice, they have done a variety of earnings calls in anticipation of that moment. And most of the time, in more recent history, they're either profitable or have a good path to profitability. But all of that needs to be incubated in the private market. So I think the fact that companies are staying private longer is ultimately a good thing.
All right, so I don't think it was me. I double checked. I loaded up here. I mean, it did need a good restart though. As you can see, it's loading very quickly here. So I don't think it's me. I think it's them and their earnings calendar. So let's go to another earnings calendar here. Let's find us another earnings calendar to look at. I guess we can go with Seeking Alpha. Why not? Seeking Alpha and I are not on the best terms these days. But I still use it for some things here and there when it's all said and done. All right. What? Oh, there we go. I gotta go this way. What is going on here? All right, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look at the 13th here. And these are going to be your guys that are reporting on the 13th. You see we have Goldman Sachs kicking it off. Uh, earnings season usually starts with financials and then works its way into other sectors. All right, so Goldman Sachs is going to be one to look at, but not one to trade, right? I'd be keeping my distance away from Goldman Sachs. Let's take a look at how they've been looking over the past few weeks here. All right. That's actually a pretty decent look, but at the end of the day, like many of these stocks here, got yourself a pretty sizable gap up. And anybody trading this should trade it with caution nowadays, just to ensure that they don't get caught up in anything that's going to rip a shred, rip a hole in their portfolio there. All right. Then on Tuesday, that's when it really gets started. We got J.P. Morgan, Johnson and Johnson, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, BlackRock. We got Albertsons, CarMax. So we got a decent group of names here. Um, let's take a look and see if any of them are in any advantaged positions. Let's go JP Morgan, J&J, Wells Fargo. JP Morgan probably looks just like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and you can see it does. All right, let's go J&J now. Now Johnson & Johnson's looking, I've noticed that there's been a little bit of a breakdown in consumer staples. It's been a little bit of a breakdown in consumer staples. Definitely need to keep your eyes on that. It says that we're back in a, potentially back in a risk-on environment, but we don't want to make assumptions. We want to get the confirmation. All right. So as you can look at Kroger, all right, see they're coming down. All right, Walmart coming down, but Walmart is holding above its 50-period moving average. So that's a really solid, look right there. All right. Now, let's see who else we got. Who else was on this list here? Let's close this out. So I'm gonna look for uncorrelated things, and I don't see any here. So we're gonna move on. Let's see here. All right, Wednesday. Wednesday has ASML, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Progressive, PNC, Kinder Morgan. Now I'm gonna say this, right? So for those that are dealing with smaller portfolios, um, this particular earnings season, I would keep my eyes on Bank of America, right? And see if you can catch Bank of America in an actual trending move, right? Something that actually looks strong. That's going to be a really good look, right? I'm going to be looking at Bank of America ahead of earnings to see if I can position well enough. Um, the inflationary environment, believe it or not, people think inflation is good for banks. It's actually not great for banks. Inflation is actually a bad thing for banks because banks are lenders, right? So if I loan you money and you say you're going to pay me back in a year, a year from now, the money you pay me back with is going to be worth less. So banks actually make more money when inflation is lower because they get a better spread on the interest rate. All right. So we'll see if Bank of America how they can respond. Like I said, this is a great stock for anybody that's dealing with a smaller portfolio, right? $52 a share, right? If you were wanting to trade options in the financial sector, right? It's probably where you should be looking. Or we have Wells Fargo, right? It's about $85. But you can see why I go with Bank of America. All right, now let's Thursday, TJ Maxx, Netflix. Netflix is going to be an interesting one. Looking forward to seeing how Netflix plays out after canceling the deal to buy Warner Brothers. All right, it's going to be interesting. Now, we also have Pepsi, Abbott, Charles Schwab, Prologis, Bank of New York, Mellon Corp, U.S. Bancorp, Traveler, Citizens Financial, Cohen and Stairs. So those are the ones that I would really pay attention to. All right. Notice I skipped over Taiwan Semiconductor. I mean, trade it if you want. I'm just not interested in trading Taiwan Semiconductor. It's just not my style. So it's going to be Netflix, Nike, Abbott. Let's see here. Check out the last day of the week. Now, Fridays are usually pretty dry. You can see that's exactly what they are. Fridays for earnings are usually pretty dry. I've noticed large companies tend to try not to announce their earnings before, like just ahead of the weekend. Um, so there you have that. Now, as far as market data is concerned, you can see you have your dividend champions here, right? Stuff that you can look at. All kind of different stuff here that you can look at. So what I do is I pin the tab. Watch this. All right, boom. All right, there we go. So I pinned it, and now we're looking good there. Um, how do we recover on as far as fear and greed this week? Um, we recovered pretty well. We recovered pretty well as far as fear and greed is concerned. We're at 38 right now. We were in the low double digits before. So 38 is pretty decent. Let me show you the timeline. All right, that's a massive bounce from the lows of 15, 14. All right. So it was good to see Fair Greed Index bouncing back to these levels here. Now, let's go back to bar chart real quick. In fact, let me just go straight here. So we have 43% of stocks above their 50-period moving average right now. It's a pretty reliable signal. Let's see here. Okay. Let's take a look at SPX options here. So here's what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking as of right now, all right, the market has shown at least a little bit of strength, right? Then the market has shown at least a little bit of strength here. And whatever pullback we get will be bought up. That's my belief. All right, here we go. So you got a slight edge here. Got a slight edge here. Let me go ahead and actually get rid of this stuff here. So you got a slight edge. Trailing stop on both ends is 1%. So no matter which way you trade the S&P 500 next week, I have it upon good quality research here that you should not endure more than a 1% move against you. Okay? Says so right here. You see it? Now, if you want to be a little more on the want to be a little more on the risky side, no problem. All right. You'd be talking 2% stop loss if you're going 2% stop loss if you're going long, 3% stop loss if you're going short. All right. So just a little bit more risk on the just a little bit more risk on the short side there. Just a little bit more. You got to put a little bit more risk on the table. All right. If you're going if you're gonna go long short the market next week. Okay. But here's what I believe is likely to happen next week. I believe whatever upside we have will be met by some decent points of resistance. I'm looking towards the 680 to 685 range to deliver that resistance. All right. Then if we see some downside, we're likely to be met with some support. I think it's more neutral and equivalent at this point. All right. So you see right here, it says that we have the 20 SMA is flat. And it says it's flat. And that just means that the 20 SMA didn't change much over the past few sessions. Right? We're not tracking it like visually watching it and seeing if it's, if it's flat out or not. We're just bringing in the data. All right. Now, so this means that, if you rally, if you're already in longs, you might want to be taking profit. If you drop early on in the week, that's a likely opportunity to buy. All right. That's what I'm saying there. Sticking to that part. Um, all right. Now, let's see what happened with the tech sector last week. Let's go to FinViz real quick. So tech wasn't the best performer last week, but it definitely carried us over into this week at the end of last week. So, but industrials, communications, cyclicals leading the charge. Let's see what we got going on with industrials, right? So typically, I'll tell you guys something, right? So typically, you see a move like this, right? That's this vertical, right? We'll say that the market just set a pole, all right? The market just set a pole, and then we'll look for potentially some, right? Some action that kind of stabilizes the market and then carries on from there. So let's write this out here. Set the same thing across the board, right? Had a pole set on all indexes here. One of the main ones I'm gonna be paying attention to next week is IGV. This is your software sector ETF. All right, we're gonna be paying attention to these guys and seeing if maybe they have seeing if maybe they have something that you know that brings them back next week. All right, so we're talking Microsoft, Palantir, all these guys. They got cooked recently, and now it's quite possible that a turnaround is underway. We have a divergence happening. but we don't, we don't have any cooperation yet. All right, so in software, we have divergence, but no cooperation. Okay. I know next week we're gonna have from the economic side, we're gonna have the beige book, the PPI, and the housing market index. Those are going to be the three things that I'm watching out for next week. I mean, other than that, I mean, you got my word on it. Like I said, I think the market's going to, I think we're going to have a more of a range bound market. Um, if we fall, I think it'll be bought up. If we rally, I think it'll be sold. So not necessarily a range bound market, just strong support and resistance levels as we try to break out. Okay. So if we actually manage to break out in either direction next week, I would tell you, trust the signal. Trust the signal. If we break out of any direction and hold that direction, trust the signal. That means something strong has happened in order to push the market beyond what was statistically probable. Okay. So again, SP 500 is positioned for higher volatility next week. So we have the potential for volatility. Pole set on we had a pole set on the as far as the index is concerned. Um, Software, we have a software divergence, but we don't have any cooperation just yet. We need to see some of these names pushing to the upside. I happen to have a ServiceNow trade open, and I'll be watching that more closely as the days pass along. All right. So that's what we have coming up for this week. Just keep your eyes on indexes. Look for pullbacks in order to get entries. You should have strong support, whatever support levels you're looking at. All right. Wait for the market to test those support levels, and then you kind of take things from there. Other than that, guys, I'm gonna let you go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I just wanted to kind of highlight what I saw in the market this week, and you know, this is going to be a normal thing for Saturdays. So I'll be doing this every Saturday from now on. All right. Actually, we do have one thing we did not look at yet, and that is the options data dashboard. Let's just take a quick glance, real quickly. So options still cheap on SPY. Short term is now bullish in a strong way. All right. And yeah, so it looks like right here we did like a similar thing. Looks like we definitely picked up some puts this weekend. Um the volume is down, but look at that 5-day open interest is up slightly. Yeah, people are definitely um, positioning for potential return of pessimism in the market. So let them handle their business. You handle yours. I'll handle mine. All right. I'll catch up with you guys later. Everybody be blessed. Stay well. I'll talk to you soon. Later.